continue that all the way up. But if we only use the center compass as our gauge, we would end up with a dome only this tall. Okay, this would be a hemispherical dome, kind of like roomy, like the brick one we were in.
Okay.
All right. So we can't do that. We need the height compass to give us the height. And so we use the height compass to set the center compass. All right. It tells us what setting to put this compass at. Because as we go up, right, we need to get this measurement. We use the height compass to be able to extend it out further. Right. Okay. So height compass is set. Like the measurement for this is the diameter of the dome plus the thickness of the wall. But only on one side, not on both sides. Okay, so it's from the interior to the exterior. All right. And just for clarification on this part too, if we have a double thick wall, because we have a buttress, it's not all the way out to the end of the buttress. It's just the wall for the dome. Okay, so interior to the exterior. If we continue this wall where our doorway's at, this would be the exterior wall right here, right? And this would be our interior wall right here. Okay? You got the exterior to interior or interior to exterior. And this is usually set in our doorway because we can access the exterior in our doorway. We can't really access it anywhere else. And it has to cut across the center to get the actual diameter of your dome, right? If we were to have this cut across over here, distance isn't accurate. So this only works if you're cutting it across the center. And then as you raise this up, right, you get the height of your dome. And you set that center compass to match the height compass at every layer as you go up. All right, so we take this little key ring off of the center compass, sorry. You don't ever change the height compass center key ring, okay? You only change the center compass key ring to match the height compass. All right?
And it gets changed every row, every
row.
course.
It doesn't seem like it at the very beginning because there's not really any stepping in, but as you get higher and higher, it becomes more and more drastic. Okay?
So keep that in mind too. So when we go more in depth into design, guys, so remember that stem wall and spring line? This is set when spring line happens.
Yes.
The height compass goes in at spring line. Okay? So that means you have wiggle room. You can play, right? If you wanted to raise, maybe you have a high water table, right? Maybe you want to raise the stem wall, make it, or you're, I'm giftedly short, but if you're really tall or you know somebody that's really tall, remember, you might want to raise that up so you make a taller ceiling. So our friend Nick here isn't like this, and I'm like this, right? Because as we step in, we're going to lose some of that ceiling space.
Yeah, so to add on that, if there was a spring line over here, like a stem wall and a spring line, we would probably have our height compass attached somewhere up here higher in the doorway. Sometimes in the form, sometimes we put a stake in the ground, okay?
So you can match where the spring line is,
yes.
height-wise.
Once
But
the
it's
spring line
also
is,
by
that's where the height compass is.
Oh, yeah. Also, guys, I don't think Brandon mentioned it yet, but the reason why it's offset is because it's in the doorway.
Yeah,
Right.
so we're going to run a wheelbarrow through here. We're going to walk through. If we put our height compass directly in the center, like right here, it's going to get bumped a lot, and then it's going to be thrown off measurement. So we usually offset it. But it still has to cut across the center of the dome. Okay, it doesn't have to be in the center of the doorway. Could be, but then you have to deal with that, all right?
And so in this case, in this one, did you put that down before you put any bags down, or did you put one bag down?
So remember the one that can actually go in first is center. I could take
Yeah,
that
that's your first
center
move.
compass, I could walk out of there and be like, bam, this is where I want it. And then that will dictate the diameter size. Like say I want 10 feet, I just walk from the center eye 5 feet and then take the chain. And we're gonna go over that in design too.
Okay.
But that goes in at spring line. So this structure didn't have, that is spring line.
Okay. Yeah.
This is where
There was no
geometry
stem
class
line.
comes into play. Okay? But very simple geometry. All right, so this is our center compass key ring. I'm just going to take it off right now. All right, we're just set. Let's say if we've already done our row, right? Like we've already done our foundation bags and worked our way up some. What I can do someone look down for you, but just to speed up the process right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take either a dummy bag, all right, or a brick or a 2x4 or something as a marker, all right. I prefer 2x4s, to be honest. As you get higher and higher up, this thing steps in more and more and more. And so, like, if you have a 2x4, you can set the length to whatever you want. All right, so.
The one important thing though is you want to make sure that you use the same thing to set your compass every place. So if he's choosing to use that brick, that should be the brick the whole course.
Yeah, I usually
The
like
whole
write
length.
compass on the boards,
Yeah.
so no one moves them around.
So you guys keep an eye on that for your build too. So don't take the center bricks out of the center. Leave them in there, whoever's on compass, okay?
Yeah. Now, certain bags are wider, right? Like we have 14-inch bag, we have like 26-inch bag, right? That changes the height of them too. They can be taller. So like, what we're aiming for probably something like the center of the bag when we're making our mark. So I want to bring this compass ring up to the center of that bag, not like down here usually, not up here. You want to try to be consistent. So you might need multiple bricks to get to that height. You know, I might want to be setting it for the top of this brick here, right? You know, but that might be too high for this type of bag. Usually we just use 2 bricks and we go for the center, like this mark here, or the top of that brick or the bottom of this brick. Does that make sense? You don't want to go for like the center of this brick too, right? But you have to adapt that to whatever size bag you are using. Okay. The dummy bag, it works, especially if you don't have anything else, because naturally you're going to have bags, so you can make that work. You might not have a brick.
So while Brandon's doing that too, another important thing, guys, is you want to bring the brick or the dummy bag to the compass. You don't want to bring, you want to bring the compass chain to it, but you don't want to pull it so hard that it opens up. Does that make sense?
If you
And
pull
please,
this too much, the chains start
Yeah. And please don't use like bungees or something like that, which I have seen people do. So don't use bungees. You want to use something where you can control how taut it is.
Good chain. Okay. So on that, you fill a bag, tie it off, right? And then you can bring this bag up to where you're going to want to have it when it's done and tamped. Right now the bag is loose. You have to set the bag, like if I were to do this right now, if I were to tamp this soft bag, it starts to push that material inward. Yep. All right, so you actually have to set this back an inch or so. I usually end up using like my hand's width.
I use 2
All right.
fingers.
2 fingers is good. It depends on your hand, obviously. It also depends on how hard you tamp this thing, how much rock is in there, how much clay. It's always going to be different. So it's just one of those things to be aware of.
Also, consistency is key, guys. So where my 2 fingers might be enough, it doesn't matter as long as it's within a margin of like, think of like an inch. Give it an inch to grow. So when we tamp it, it meets the ring. But consistency is more important. So if you're using 2 fingers, use 2 fingers the whole time on your run, okay? If you change it up, then there's going to be parts of the bag that are coming in on compass and some that are going to be out. So stay consistent.
Okay, so this is just to set the compass right now, though, right?
So you do want to push the tackle down, or you don't?
When we lay the bag, it's going to be untamped, so it should be about an inch away from the key ring. So when you're on the center and you're on compass, you want to make sure that the ring isn't completely touching the bag. The idea is that once you go around with the tamp, it'll expand and it'll touch the key ring then. So if you're on compass, 2 fingers, a hand width, whatever, think of like an inch away, tamped, it'll touch.
Okay, when you're setting the compass, I would say tamp it, because you're just doing a little dummy bag. And when I say tamp, just hit it with a brick a few times just so that it's solid. You don't want to be like pushing in, like or bringing this out, it's leaving a dent, and it's not as accurate. So just make sure that's tamped for a second. Now drop your height compass, right? You have it marked right here, and you're going to set the center compass. Usually we like to double check, especially as you're learning. Usually check on a build like so many different ways to make sure that it's where I want it to be at. And you can take these two now and kind of see where they're both kind of being taught at, and see if you're happy with that. Okay. So now I'm going to finish setting this.
Also, a good tip, guys, throw the height compass back in the doorway so when you're on compass, you don't see the two and accidentally pick this one up and start going around. Because we number the bags. So we will call you out and be like, who was number 8? Who was on compass on 8? Right? That's how we stay motivated.
This part here now, right? This works for this height. Alright? Imagine the whole dome is done, right? This works for this height of the dome. Now imagine your bag waving. It's okay, alright? Structurally wise, it's okay, but reading compass, swing your bag, it's like we're laying it down right here, right? You got something going up and down. This is pretty great for up here at this level, but it won't read down here. See how it starts to extend into it. So you have to keep that in mind, and there's no perfect way of doing this, alright? It's just, you have to kind of train your eye to notice what is level on your dome. At least close to. Alright, it doesn't have to be perfect, like I said. You can be off a couple inches on this. It's fine. Try not to be off a whole layer. This is kind of a drastic example right here. I would want to put a little bag here to make that up, instead of trying to do a whole layer up and down. Okay?
And periodically throughout the whole build, all of you should be kind of rotating and keeping an eye from all different viewpoints. So take a step outside of the build, look at it from a distance, and you'll be able to see really big highs and lows. No matter what, it's all going to come up together, but you might have to compensate and make up for it if one side's like this. Or if your foundation wasn't level, you're going to have to lay more bag on this side to bring it up, right?
You have to learn to pick your battles too. Alright? This doesn't have to be perfect.
So, do you guys use water leveling?
That's what we do on builds.
Water levels.
Okay.
We use like string levels,
I prefer.
line levels. We've used laser levels for some of the things, but you don't need to do all
We
that.
try to keep it simple because what if you don't have access to all those things?
Part
What
of
if you
it
don't
is
even
the
have
organic part.
electricity or anything like that? So just keep it simple. Like the water level that he was talking about, for anyone who doesn't know, that is some of the most ancient ways of leveling things, like Egyptians, right? So think of it this way. If we were going to build, if this was a professional build, I would soak that trench with water, come back to it in the morning, you'll see pools, you'll see highs. You come out, shave out the highs, there's your level. You know what I mean? So like we said, this is really forgiving architecture, guys. So you can make up for it, but try to make up for it every row that you're going. So when by the time you get to the top, you're not like, whoa, we're like 3 feet off over here, So just flow with it every row.
Most of the failures that will happen when